Welcome to This Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here today. Look, if you're the kind of focused learner who loves figuring out the hidden mechanics of the world around us, you are in exactly the right place. Today, we're stepping inside the meticulously engineered world of big box furniture stores. Think of places like IKEA, who really pioneered these psychological strategies that retailers all over the world now copy. We're going to break down how literally every single detail, from the exact shape of the hallways to the placement of the price tags, is purposefully designed to hack your psychology.
So let's start by painting a very universal problem. I'll be in and out in 15 minutes. We've all told ourselves this lie, haven't we? Imagine walking through those giant sliding glass doors and your mission is to grab just one specific item. Maybe it's a lamp for your reading nook or, I don't know, a bookshelf. You already know exactly what you need and you're fully convinced it's going to be a quick, highly efficient trip. But somehow, an hour later, you're standing in the checkout line and your cart looks exactly like this. You went in for a bookshelf, and now you're hauling candles, a couple of perfectly cute fake plants, some random kitchen gadgets you honestly didn't even know existed, storage boxes, picture frames, and of course, a giant bag of frozen Swedish meatballs that you absolutely never planned to buy. And just like that, your receipt ends up being 3 times larger than you ever expected. So what happened here? Did you just suddenly lose all self-control? Well, I want to validate your experience right now. No, you didn't. You aren't weak-willed, and it wasn't just a momentary lapse in judgment. What's actually happening is that you're participating in a decades-old psychological experiment. You see, retailers have spent years and millions of dollars studying exactly how we shop, and their environments are carefully built to influence your decisions without you even realizing it.
Okay, Section 1, Designing the Guided Path.
Let's dive into this. The very first secret hits you right at the entrance through a concept called the guided path. It's essentially a single winding route that takes shoppers through almost every single department before they ever reach the checkout. Unlike your typical grocery store where you can just bounce around aisles freely, here you're funneled onto this very specific route. And at first glance, it kind of feels helpful, right? You don't have to wonder where to go next, but it actually hides a much deeper, highly calculated strategy.
Mentally simulate this walk with me for a second. Step 1, you come in for that desk. But because of the guided path, Step 2 literally forces you to walk through the bedrooms, then the kitchens, the rugs, the lighting, the textiles. By forcing you past all these completely unrelated departments, the store dramatically increases the sheer volume of products you look at. And that leads right to Step 3. You discover things you never even knew you wanted.
And this brings us to a real game changer of a concept. Psychologists call this increased exposure. The formula is incredibly simple but so powerful. The more products your brain encounters on that winding path, the greater the mathematical chance that one of them is going to create a sudden spark of desire. The absolute crucial point here is that the store isn't forcing you to buy anything at all. They're just mathematically multiplying the opportunities for you to make an impulse purchase. Moving on to Section 2, Selling a Better Lifestyle. When we look at the actual product displays, notice how you almost never see furniture just sitting alone on a bare metal shelf. Instead, you see complete, fully realized spaces built right there into the middle of the store. A tiny studio apartment, a modern family kitchen, a cozy bedroom, or a really stylish home office. Every single pillow, blanket, curtain, and coffee mug in these spaces is placed there with extreme intention. They aren't random decorations. They're props meant to tell a very specific story. This is a brilliant trick called mental simulation. By building these realistic environments, the store is helping your brain imagine ownership. When you see a beautifully designed room, your brain shifts away from logic, things like measuring the exact dimensions of a table, and moves straight into emotion. You actually start believing that buying these specific products is going to magically grant you that beautiful, organized, ideal lifestyle.
This really hammers home the difference. You aren't just buying a simple wooden chair. You're buying the better lifestyle that chair represents. The secret is that these retailers aren't really in the business of selling furniture. They're selling a vision of a better, happier home.
All right, Section 3, Trapped in the Maze. Let's talk about a feeling I am sure you've experienced. Feeling just a little bit trapped. If you've ever felt slightly lost or disoriented in one of these massive stores, well, that is exactly what the designers expect. The rule here is simple. More time equals more buying opportunities. That winding maze is purposely there to force you to slow down. Instead of rushing directly to the one department you need, you're taking a long, meandering stroll.
And retail studies consistently prove that the longer a customer is kept inside a building, the more likely they are to purchase additional items. Every extra minute is another chance for a product to catch your eye. Now, you might be wondering, but wait, don't these stores usually have built-in shortcuts? And yeah, they totally do. But almost no one actually uses them to escape the maze early. Why? Because human curiosity is surprisingly powerful. You naturally start to wonder, what's around the next corner? What little design vignette or clever product is waiting just out of sight? That curiosity keeps you moving forward along the path, playing perfectly into the retailer's hands. Finally, Section 4, Small Rooms, Big Ideas. The last brilliant architectural detail we need to look at is the surprisingly small square footage of these display rooms, and honestly, that is totally intentional. Think about it. If a store displays an expensive luxury mansion, it feels intimidating. You look at it and think, okay, that's gorgeous, but I'll never have a home like that. But by mimicking an everyday small apartment, the display suddenly becomes actionable and relatable. Millions of us live in tight spaces. When you see it, your brain immediately thinks, wow, I could actually make my apartment look exactly like this. And that creates this incredible snowball effect to check out. Step 1. Because the room is small and relatable, you fall in love with the whole aesthetic. Step 2. You decide, okay, I'm going to buy the dining table. But then, Step 3 hits you. Buying just the table suddenly feels kind of incomplete. The magic was in how everything looked together, which leads directly to Step 4. You buy the matching chairs, and the rum, and the lamp. One single purchase naturally and organically leads right to another. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with this final provocative thought. Next time you walk through those sliding doors, fully convinced you're just making a quick 15-minute trip, are you actually making your own choices? Or are you just playing a game where the retailer wrote all the rules? Thank you so much for joining me to decode this fascinating topic today. Keep paying attention to the invisible design around you, and I'll see you in the next explainer.
Hey everyone, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking the psychology of the shopper's journey. Have you ever walked into a certain famous flat-pack furniture store for one specific item, only to walk out with a cart absolutely overflowing? You definitely aren't alone. We are going to dive right into the brilliant behavioral machinery hidden inside every single aisle of that store. And we're going to see exactly how your environment is perfectly designed to guide your choices. Okay, let's dive into this. Picture yourself walking through those sliding glass doors. Almost immediately, you're greeted by this giant, crinkly yellow shopping bag. Have you ever wondered why those bags are just so incredibly enormous? I mean, at first glance, it seems purely practical, right? Home goods come in all shapes and sizes. But I want you to imagine actually holding that massive bag, because its true psychological purpose goes way beyond mere practicality. Well, as you can see, it all comes down to a behavioral concept called volume perception. Basically, this is judging our purchases by how full a basket looks, rather than the actual amount of money we're spending. When you toss a few things into that giant bag, it still looks practically empty. And that sends a very subtle, yet incredibly powerful message directly to your brain. Hey, there's plenty of room left. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly how that subtle message plays out. Step 1, you add a candle. The bag is still completely empty. Step 2, you toss in a picture frame. Still empty. Step 3, a storage box. Because these items don't take up much space individually and they're relatively inexpensive, your brain just doesn't register them as major decisions. They're quick, easy choices, but they snowball. By the time you actually reach the checkout line, those quick decisions have somehow turned into dozens of unintended items, all because your brain was trying to fill up the visual space of that giant bag. Section 2, the marketplace, a maze of small temptations. So we wander out of the furniture displays and into the marketplace. As you navigate this maze, you're surrounded by kitchen tools, batteries, towels, and things like a simple mug, which costs just $4. In fact, most of the items in the marketplace cost only a few bucks. And let me tell you, that is no coincidence. This specific, incredibly low price point triggers what psychologists call the why not effect in the shopper's mind. So the crucial point is a mechanism called price anchoring. This happens when you compare the cost of new, smaller items to a much larger expense you've already mentally committed to. Think about it for a second. By the time you reach the marketplace, you've probably already decided to buy, say, a $300 desk from the showroom. With that expensive furniture acting as your anchor, your brain compares the $4 mug or a $7 blanket to the $300 desk. Suddenly, those smaller items feel almost free. You think to yourself, well, I'm already spending hundreds of dollars, what's another $4? This reveals such a fascinating quirk of human behavior. Our brains completely stop evaluating these small purchases independently once that anchor is set. Look at how this escalates. One extra item becomes 3. 3 items quickly become 10. And before you know it, boom, you have a cart full of unplanned products. Because the expensive furniture set the reference point, every single thing in that marketplace suddenly seemed like a bargain you literally couldn't pass up.
Section 3. The Flat Pack Revolution. Why you do the heavy lifting.
Now, let's transition the journey into that massive warehouse full of towering shelves and neatly stacked flat boxes. To understand why it's set up this way, we have to contrast the business models. On the left, in traditional retail, the store pays its employees to move, store, and deliver fully assembled furniture. That is an incredibly expensive process. But on the right, in the flat pack model, the customer collects the flat box, transports it home, and builds it themselves. By shifting this labor onto you, the store dramatically reduces its shipping and storage costs. They operate way more efficiently, which results in lower prices for everyone.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the question it begs. Is saving money the absolutely only reason they want you to build it yourself? Or is there a psychological twist hiding behind all that frustrating assembly labor and those tiny little wrenches?
It actually comes down to the IKEA effect. This is the well-documented behavioral tendency for people to place a significantly higher value on products they've helped create. By having you build the furniture, the store ensures you are investing your own time and effort. And here's the wild part. Even if the assembly process is frustrating, that personal investment actually makes the finished customer-built furniture feel much more meaningful to you. You didn't just buy a bookshelf, you built it.
Section 4. The Refuel. The strategy behind the Swedish meatballs.
Let's be real for a second. A multi-hour furniture shopping trip is utterly exhausting. You've walked through the showrooms, you've survived the marketplace, and now you're hauling heavy flat-pack boxes. It takes a tremendous amount of mental energy. And there's a simple biological reality here. Mental exhaustion and hunger cause shoppers to leave early. When people are tired and hungry, they get frustrated, they abandon their shopping carts, and they just end their trips prematurely.
To counter this, the store provides a strategically placed recharge station right in the middle of the layout. Swedish meatballs, cinnamon rolls, hot dogs, ice cream, yes, these are iconic and highly affordable, but they aren't just popular menu items. They serve a very specific, crucial strategic purpose designed to keep you inside the building.
It all connects back to this brilliant psychological equation. Recharge equals stay longer, which equals buy more. Eating a meal gives you the energy to extend your stay. And remember, the store layout guarantees that even after you eat, you still have to navigate through even more displays and marketplace aisles before you can finally reach the exit. By feeding you, they ensure you have the stamina to finish the maze, and naturally, add a few more things to that yellow bag along the way. So, what does this all mean for us? The next time you grab a giant yellow bag, toss a $4 mug into your cart, or sit down for some meatballs, are you just shopping, or are you the subject of a behavioral masterclass? Hopefully, this explainer has given you the insight to completely rethink